This is the cover of my final project. My management about philosophy is completely student-centered, which is why students is the biggest word in the middle. Students should have a say in how their classroom is run as far as rules and choices. Richard Kirwan, Alan Mendler, and Frederick Jones were the theorists I most agreed with because I believe that students should create rules. In our classroom management book, Kirwan and Mendler referred to this as the responsibility model, meaning that children feel more responsible to follow the rules if they help create them. I also want to have consequences that make sense because according to an article by Delisio, if consequences directly match the misbehavior, then students are more likely to learn from them. Frederick Jones emphasizes the need for teachers to model appropriate behavior in an article by Gerken and Tekin, which I completely agree with. Students won't feel there is a good reason to behave if teachers won't even follow the rules. These theorists that I agree with are both medium and low control, but I move towards more medium than low because students do need order, and overall my philosophy is that the classroom environment is enhanced when teachers and students work together cooperatively. I would argue that one of the main responsibilities we have as teachers is to prepare students to live successfully in a democratic society. Classroom jobs are one way of doing so. According to an article by Wolf, classroom jobs have the added benefit of giving students important responsibilities and ownership in the classroom. Students also need chances to be in leadership positions. One great idea I found from an article by Carnes and Bean is having discussion leaders whenever there is a class discussion. In a democratic society, people have choices, and students should too. As I stated earlier in my philosophy, students should have a say in how their classroom is run, and I want feedback from my teaching so that I can prove it. I also want to model good behavior to teach civility in my classroom. I believe that both extrinsic and intrinsic motivation should be used in the classroom because every student is different and sometimes they will be intrinsically motivated and other times they won't. However, I do believe that as teachers we should use extrinsic motivators that move students to become more intrinsically motivated. For example, when using a point system for prizes, the prize needs to be related to learning. So if you get points for completing your writing assignment, one good prize could be that next time we do writing, the students can use a pen instead of a pencil. This type of reward is related to writing, and kids still really think it's fun to switch things up. For the rules and procedures, I have rules such as come to class on time and prepare to be respectful to each other, the teacher, and the materials. Listen to and follow directions the first time they are given. Do your best on all the assignments, projects, tests, etc. These rules are stated positively because I want to focus students on what they should be doing rather than what they shouldn't be. There's consequences that are both negative and positive for doing and not doing these things, such as receiving stickers for coming to class on time, and then eventually, once you get 5 stickers, you get free time. So it makes sense to have this kind of consequence because if you're coming to class on time, then you're not wasting any time, and so they get some free time. Whereas the opposite would be if students are showing up late, they'd have to make up that time later. So it kind of shows a logical consequence, which is a huge part of my philosophy. When it comes to procedures and building rapport, I believe that getting to know your students' names and using them, finding out their interests, and sharing personal experiences will help you to connect with your students and to better respect them and have them respect you. There's some examples of procedures, and I believe that when you have procedures and the students have practiced them and have modeled them and have been explained them several times and have posters, they will be able to use those procedures and the classroom will run smoothly. As far as interventions, they range from being situational assistance all the way to moderate interventions, and behaviors range from mild to severe. One such behavior that is mild is being distracted with objects, and a teacher can just use situational assistance and remove the distracting object without interrupting teaching, which is a good way. A more moderate behavior would be disrupting other students, and if a student is doing that, you can use proximity, which is a mild nonverbal intervention that will get the students to quiet down because you are coming towards them. A more severe behavior would be a student pushing another student in line, and if this were to happen, you could use a moderate intervention such as having them fill out a worksheet that allows them to explain why they did what they did and to apologize to whoever it happened, and if it gets more serious, to have the principal involved. There was an article we read about bullying that had a really great idea of using a confidential message box that I like, because students are able to say what they've observed as far as bullying, or if they're victims of it, in a way that they don't feel vulnerable and in a way that they feel safe in sharing that information. Last, I have my classroom map, which has groups of 4 because I believe in group work, and the carpet is for whole group instruction because they can be closer and more focused. There's lots of space the students can all see, and they're away from distractions, so it's a really good learning environment. I would also have student work up on the walls in colors according to seasons, so that it's not too overwhelming as far as colors go, especially for autistic students. It's also good to have other types of books that are in different languages and different levels for high achieving students and low achieving students and ELLs. I would also have the emotional need of belonging met in my classroom by having the student work up on the walls to make it more like a home to my students. And then last, I have my philosophy paper.